Right now on Vegas Revealed, it's one of the hottest topics in town. What's happening at the Rio Hotel and Casino? What improvements will be made, and how long will it take?
We sit down with the founder and CEO of Dreamscape, the company that now owns and operates the Rio.
So people just have to forget what once was and focus on what is.
Our candid conversation with Eric Birnbaum on his vision for the long-neglected property.
This week on a special edition of Vegas Revealed.
Vegas Revealed, presented by LevelUp Law, starts now.
Welcome to a special edition of Vegas Revealed. I'm Sean McAllister along with Dana Roselli. And this week, Dana, we're talking about a classic Las Vegas property that's getting ready to live a new life.
Yeah, there was a time when people weren't sure what would happen to the Rio Hotel and Casino. There was so much chatter. Would it change hands? Would somebody buy it? Would they demolish it and use the land for something else?
Yeah, lots of questions for lots of years, but let's rewind a little bit. The Rio opened back in 1990, just west of the Las Vegas Strip off of Flamingo Road. Really a prime location. In 2019, Dreamscape bought the Rio from Caesars Entertainment. However, Caesars continued to operate the hotel casino until October of 2023.
The founder and CEO of Dreamscape is Eric Birnbaum. His vision? Save the property and make it better.
We sat down with Birnbaum in the newly reopened wine cellar over at the Rio for a wide-ranging conversation. We had a lot of questions, and he answered them all.
There's been so much talk about the future of the Rio for years and years, and I'm just curious, what did you see in the Rio?
Saw a lot in the Rio, and still do. Look, I think from our perspective, this was an iconic asset, and when you go back to the early 90s and really all through like the early 2000s, this was the spot. It's hard to bump into somebody who used to frequent or went to Vegas back during those times and didn't have an experience here in one way, shape, or form, whether they stayed here, whether they went to Voodoo Lounge or Club Rio or saw Prince, what have you. There were so many unique moments and iconic times that people had here. And I think for us, we saw an asset that still had that potential and still had that ability to be brought back to life. Sadly, over the past, let's call it decade or so, I think the perception of the asset was not what it once was. So we've been working very hard to try and let people know, hey, things have changed, things are different now, and things are moving, closer to where they used to be versus to where they have been.
Yeah, and I know you talk about people having memories. I'm one of those people. I have memories of days, nights, the whole nine at this property. So it is exciting to see that there is a commitment to bring the Rio back. And you are doing a top to bottom renovation on the property. Kind of walk us through the timeline. What's been done, what still needs to be done, and when you expect those to hit those milestones?
Yeah, I mean, we are still very much of a work in progress, and we're still, very much renovating, but we've done a lot already to date. We have done 1,500 rooms already from top to bottom, so completely remodeled 1,500 rooms in what we call the Ipanema Tower. We have just reopened our pool deck, so that has been completely remodeled and refreshed. We recently opened up our new food hall, that's called Canteen, so that's now open and happening. We are in the middle of, as you may have seen when you came in here, the casino floor is in the midst of being remodeled completely from top to bottom. We are opening up our new sort of marquee, I guess, circle bar, if you will, that's going to be called Lapa Lounge. We have a new food and beverage venue that's going to be opening up in about a month or so called Luckley's, which is going to be an American tavern and grill. Let's see, I don't know if any of you have seen the new facade that we did. So the facade got remodeled, repainted, refreshed, and in addition to that, all new lighting, a whole new LED display. I don't know if there are fish fans that are out there. So the designer that did does all the lighting for Fish, actually programmed and did all of our designing for our facade. His name is Chris Caruta. So that's been pretty exciting. And we refreshed and remodeled our convention facility. And the list goes on. I mean, they're just opened up a new Starbucks, and we're continuing. So we are effectively taking down portions of the asset, refreshing them, bringing them online, and sort of working our way through that process. And it should, knock on wood, all be done, I would say, very much by the end of this summer, and then completely done by, I would say January of 25. Just to be clear, that's considered phase 1. Then there's a phase 2, which will be the Masquerade Village, which is another 1,000 keys, and that will all be reconceptualized and revitalized ultimately. And then in addition to that, we have 22 acres of excess land that at some point can be something. So we are walking before we run, and we're just going incrementally and trying to be like as thoughtful as we possibly can.
And when you say Masquerade Village, we were curious, are you going to keep the Rio name? Is it like the theme of the Masquerade? I mean, obviously, we've been here a long time, so we know the show in the sky was so popular. I mean, would that ever come back? I mean, are you going to keep things the same, make changes to names, bring back anything?
Well, I mean, certainly the name Rio is staying. As far as the Masquerade Village and the show in the sky, it's really, we have a big whiteboard, and we have lots of different ideas. That is one of the ideas, but nothing has ultimately been decided yet on that.
Well, put our check on the whiteboard. We love the show in the sky.
Okay, done. Noted.
Noted. When you walk into the Rio, what do you want people to think? What do you want people to imagine? What do you want people to feel?
That's a good question. I think at the end of the day, when you go away, and when you go, whether it's vacation or even if it's work, or when you leave home, you're coming into somebody else's home. And so this is effectively like our home becomes their home for however long, an individual is staying. And when you have 2,500 rooms, and let's say that you average 2 people like in a room, that's 5,000 people that have that want something different. So the question is how do you connect with 5,000 people, and how do you appease 5,000 people? I think the obvious things that one always wants to do is you want to give them, be courteous, you want them to feel good, you want them to feel that they're welcomed into this home of theirs for the next however many days that they're ultimately staying. And then you want to give them an experience that feels good and fun. You're taking them, many people are coming here for a convention. So sometimes conventions aren't the most fun things in the world. It's work. So how can you sprinkle in a little bit of fun and a little bit of an enjoyment while they're working? And so whatever that may be, whether that's a good meal, whether that's a courteous staff, whether that is playing, some games on the floor and entertaining themselves, you want every interaction to be enjoyable. And I think our job is to try and make each individual has 1,000 interactions between when they walk in to when they leave. And really, like, our job is to try and look at each one of those individual experiences and make sure that we're giving somebody good value and at the same time a good experience. People need to know there's new ownership. People need to know that $350 million is being put into this property. People need to know that the best hotel talent in town is here and leading the charge. And with that is going to come a great product. So people just have to forget what once was and focus on what is.
We have more with Eric coming up. How he plans to bring value back to Vegas visitors.
What does the future of entertainment look like here? And could a new arena be built at the Rio?
That's ahead on Vegas Revealed.
If you've experienced a slip and fall, were injured in a place of business or on a construction site, call LevelUp Law. Do you have a wrongful death case or been in a motor vehicle accident, even harmed in a rideshare? Our team specializes in personal injury cases. Call LevelUp Law now at 855-LEVEL-UP. Elevate your case with LevelUp Law. We've got your back. Call 855-LEVEL-UP. Your journey to justice starts here. LevelUp Law. Justice at your fingertips.
Welcome back to Vegas Revealed as we continue our conversation with the new owner of the Rio Hotel and Casino. For the first time in well over a decade, the property is getting a top-to-bottom renovation, hoping to restore some of the luster that it enjoyed back in its heyday.
Yeah, and I know you and I had some good times there in the past, didn't we? Well, more recently, the room rates have really dropped. It makes it a great value right now for anyone coming to Las Vegas. But we did talk with the CEO and founder of Dreamscape, Eric Birnbaum, and we asked him, is that value going to continue after the remodel is complete?
That is certainly where we see the opportunity in Vegas. I don't want to slight any of our competitors or say anything ill will, but I think unfortunately, if you go to many of our competitors and you simply want to just have a bottle of water, it costs $14. And I don't know how, if you take that to, okay, now I want to go have a dinner for two at one of their restaurants, it's really hard to get out of there without spending $200 a person or sometimes like even more. So I think that unfortunately there is a market that has been very much overlooked, and I think the value proposition unfortunately in this town has gone away. So whether or not we are we never consider ourselves to be cheap. That's not how we're looking at the market. We just consider ourselves to hopefully be good value and that people feel like that they got a great experience. If you can be in a 600 square foot room that's beautiful, and then simultaneously go down and have a good meal at Hash House, or go to Luckley's and have a good meal, go to Lapa Lounge and have a great drink, all by having courteous staff and a smile, and not have to take a mortgage against it. That's the goal, and that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the rising prices across the board in Las Vegas has been because, well, one property's doing it, so we're going to do it too. Are you trying to buck the economic trend that we've seen here in the city for the past several years?
I don't think we're trying to necessarily buck the trend, but I think what we're focused on is us, and what we're focused on is our customer and our guest, and all we care about is that. And if we can have our guest have an experience here that they leave and feel good about, then like we have done our job, because then that guest is apt to come back, and it is much easier to maintain the guests that you already have and have them be a repeat guest, and and go from there. So that's our focus.
Still to come, the Rio is the longtime home of entertainers and magicians Penn and Teller, and the show Chippendales. I've been a time or two.
A time or two? I'd say a time or three. But what does the future of entertainment look like at the once thriving property? We find out next on Vegas Revealed.
When storms wreak havoc on your property, don't face the aftermath alone. LevelUp Law is your ally in natural disaster recovery. Whether it's property damage, wind resulting in downed trees, wildfires, or water damage, our experienced team will help you. Call 855-LEVEL-UP for a free consultation. Call LevelUp Law now, 855-LEVEL-UP, and take the first step toward rebuilding your life. LevelUp Law, justice at your fingertips. Call today.
Welcome back to Vegas Revealed as we continue our interview with the founder and CEO of Dreamscape, the owner of the Rio Hotel and Casino.
Major renovations have already taken place over at the Rio, with more on the way. And that property also comes with 22 acres of undeveloped land. But the big question, what to do with it?
Yeah, and then we also had to ask about entertainment.
Obviously, Penn and Teller, Chippendales, they have been longtime staples here at the property. What do you plan on your entertainment portfolio looking like over the next few years? Are you adding to it? Are you keeping things as is?
Look, right now we have those staples. So, I mean, we have a Comedy Cellar, we have the Wow Theater, we have Penn and Teller, and we have Chippendales. Those 4 establishments do well and hit a certain market. And from our perspective, we're not looking to replace things that work simply for the sake of replacing them. And not only that, they have endured, candidly, a very long history of neglect at this property, and they're due for some payback, and for having stuck with this place and sticking with us. We want them to be the beneficiaries of that. So we're very much committed to them.
I know your focus is the Rio. Do you ever, when you think long term, think about buying up other properties in Las Vegas, or just right now we're just focused on the Rio? I mean, because you are new to the Las Vegas area, and I think a lot of people find that really interesting.
Look, I think that you got to walk before you run. And then, once you run, then you can, sprint. And I think that we need to execute here and perform, do our job, and get this right. And I think that the lessons, look, we're not perfect, and we're going to make mistakes, and we've already made plenty, and we're going to continue to. But for us, our job is to look at those mistakes, fix the mistakes, and move on, and continue to refine and get better. So for us, I think if we can execute over the next year or two, and things are moving in the right direction and we're happy, sure, we will lift our head up and say, okay, is there anything else that we should be doing, that we should be considering? Of course, the long-term vision is to build a platform and to have a more robust business here, because we really love the market and we think that there's a lot of opportunity. But we got to do this first. We got to land this plane.
And I know this is probably putting the cart in front of the horse a little bit, but you mentioned the 22 acres of space that you have on this chunk of real estate here off of Flamingo. I know for a long time in the lead up to the A's talking about coming here, that this property was talked about as a potential site for a sporting venue. Is that something that you would still entertain? Not necessarily with baseball, but just sports in general, given the trajectory of sports in the city.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, the 22 acres of excess land that we have is really our ace in the hole, and will ultimately differentiate us relative to many other properties that are out there. We have been more, I guess, reactive versus proactive in thinking about our excess land, because we have so much work to do currently here within the 77 acres that the Rio proper sits on. But that is not to say that we're not thinking about it, and we're in various different conversations with lots of different parties, and we're running many parallel paths. The A's was obviously a fairly public conversation that was out there, and they obviously opted to do something else. But I think what it did do is it forced us to really understand the land that we have and the value that inherently is there. So there is no site that has 2,500 keys that have been completely renovated, that have 4 entertainment venues, that have 14 food and beverage venues, that have everything that we have to offer, where somebody that has, whether it's an arena, a stadium, or some other ancillary use, shouldn't be all over, and that's just the truth.
I was really glad to hear that a lot of those longtime shows are going to stick around.
Yeah, and get the credit that they're due. That's always great to hear.
Just ahead,
Right now, I would say that we have the most competitive and most attractive rewards program, hands down.
That's music to gamblers' ears. More with Rio's new owner next on Vegas Revealed.
The Vegas Revealed podcast is now on TV. Join Dana Rosselli and Sean McAllister on Vegas Revealed, presented by LevelUp Law. Weekends on Fox 5.
Welcome back to Vegas Revealed. Earlier in the show, we mentioned that we sat down to talk with the Rio's new owner, Eric Birnbaum, in the wine cellar tasting room.
yeah, you may have been there before. It was open for a long time, then it shut down for a few years, but it has recently been uncorked. Why? Well, it's a cool spot. So we asked Eric more about it.
We're sitting in the wine cellar now. I
Yes.
mean, you just revived this space, and it's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. No, look, this was, back in its day, a real spot and a place that people sought out and really came to and celebrated and loved. And, we spoke to many different architects and came up, had all different sorts of ideas. And what we came back to is, look around, it's great. Like, why would you change anything? It needed to be refreshed and revitalized and brought up, to the modern day. But it's an amazing, unique space to have a cocktail, to have a drink, to relax, and to just sort of like take you out of like your daily life.
A lot of our listeners, a lot of our viewers, people online always ask questions about the rewards program. What kind of, and it's interesting because, we have a lot of, big companies, MGM owns a lot of properties, Caesars owns a lot of properties, and people seem to know their reward program. What, are you going to offer anything that's different, or is there a vision there?
We certainly have a vision. I mean, right now, I would say that we have the most competitive and most attractive rewards program, if not the most competitive and attractive rewards program in the market, hands down. So we have been, I don't want to know if the right word is aggressive, but I guess aggressive. And we have the best rewards program, like bar none, in the market, period.
It was really nice to sit down with Eric, and we're glad he took the time to answer our questions. As we mentioned at the top of the show, it really is one of the hottest topics as far as when it comes to our listeners and viewers and people on social media. Everyone's always curious about what the future of the Rio holds.
Yeah, so we hope that some of your questions were answered in this half hour. If you'd like to revisit any portions of our conversation, be sure to go to our Vegas Revealed YouTube channel. We've got the whole interview posted there.
Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you back here next week for Vegas Revealed.